and my legal advice is that the proposed wording of the amendment does not fall foul of that and is allowed under the Constitution.
Okay. I have had time to consider this. My concern is you will disenfranchise 42 councillors in this council, and you'll refer it back to only 10 councillors making decisions for everybody. And I just cannot see how we have the opportunity to represent our community that will be denied that opportunity if this amendment is accepted. And for that reason, and for openness and democracy, I will not be accepting the amendment.
Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Mayor, can I call a point of order? In the ruling of the Mayor, I think you're wrong, Mr. Mayor. I don't think you've got the right to democratically refuse the amendment. And can I ask the monitoring officer for some legal advice, because the reality is we're bound, all elected members are bound by the Constitution, and the Mayor is a non-political post. And I'd just like to ask for clarification from the monitoring officer on the legal position, because the amendment, in my view, is a valid amendment.
Well, I'll just come back there, David. When this request for an extraordinary meeting was sent...
Mr. Mayor, can I call for a point of order as well? I think that the deputy leader has asked for some advice. The deputy leader has asked for some legal advice. I will speak first. Thank you very much. When the extraordinary meeting was requested, I did seek legal advice before I made a decision to accept it, and that legal advice clearly stated that everything was okay to accept it, and let's have the debate. Now, what you're doing here today, you're referring it back to the exec board. We may as well not have had this meeting. It was a complete waste of time, complete waste of money. Why didn't I get that advice before? But we're here now. I really have a problem to accept that amendment, because it denies this council, 42 councillors, the chance to have a vote on this issue. And I can't accept that.
Mr. Mayor, can I come in with some legal advice for you, please?
Pardon?
Can I come in with some legal advice for you as monitoring officer?
You can do, yes.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, the request for the extraordinary meeting and the motion proposed was correctly done. It followed the correct procedure to allow for an extraordinary meeting to be called. So that was obviously the advice at that point. It was correctly called. An amendment can be proposed, as it has been today, to a motion. And my legal advice to you, and I give you strong legal advice on this, is that amendment fits within the terms of the Constitution and should be allowed. And then, provided it is seconded, you would proceed to have a debate on that amendment first and a vote on that amendment. It is not stifling debate. It is following the correct procedure under the Constitution. And as the Mayor, you are here to uphold the Constitution.
Can I read the point of order, Mr. Mayor? Because I think where this meeting is drastically going wrong is, if you have a look at our Constitution under section 4.23.6.1.1, it says any decisions that fall within the purview, and I'm paraphrasing here, of the executive board, this council should refer the matters directly back to the executive board. And we as a Labour group in the past have submitted a motion to council. It hasn't been moved, it's been moved and seconded, but it's been referred straight to the executive board for debate in the past. We've followed the Constitution. The fact that here and now we've got a decision that sits within the purview of executive board, the original motion, as tabled by Councillor Mark Jones and seconded by Councillor Harper, has been moved and seconded. What hasn't happened, because of your discretion, and quite rightly, is you've opened that up for debate. by doing that, we can have the debate, we can have a vote, we can all air exactly our thoughts, our feelings, representing our communities and everything else. But by doing that, that opens this debate up for amendments as well. And those amendments that are tabled are constitutional. So therefore, I would really strongly request that we as councillors follow the advice of our legal officer in upholding the Constitution. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Mayor, I do have my hand up. I wonder if I could suggest something with regards to, I respect David Bithel's point of order, the deputy leader. I believe he's true and he's right in what he's saying. Mr. Mayor, could I ask for an adjournment for half an hour for the group leaders to get together to discuss this? Because I think if we're not careful here, we're going to bring this council into disrepute and it won't be good for Wrexham at all. Mr. Mayor, I wonder if you could consider that, because I think the legal advice which has been given to yourself in your capacity as mayor is true, is legally binding, and I think we need to have a deferment. I think we need to have a discussion with the group leaders to move us forward. Could I ask the monitoring officer if she would accept that, subject to the mayor accepting it too? Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, thank you, Councillor Pritchard. I would advise that's a suitable way to deal with the matter this afternoon, to have a short adjournment for that debate to take place before we resume.
Okay, you have a short adjournment for 20 minutes. And come back.
Can I just be really clear? So that's a meeting between the mayor and the group leaders. The monitoring officer, I presume, would be on hand if you need to call her for legal advice. So
I would recommend that the legal officer is in that meeting, because this is dependent on legal advice, Ian. And what about everybody else? What are we advising every other councillor? Are they going to sit in the waiting room? Are we using these codes for that meeting?
Yeah, what I would suggest is then the monitoring officer, if it's okay, Mr. Mayor, because obviously the meeting's suspended.
I just suggested that. I think it's dreadful.
Careful, Hugh, you're on.
7 hours later.
Okay, I'd like to clarify the situation. I will accept the amendment, but I do have grave concerns about that amendment. It's negating the main motion. To me, I feel it's undemocratic. That's my position, but I took legal advice and I will now accept the amendment. Linda, do you want to clarify anything regarding legal advice?
Mr. Mayor, I will confirm that it is not undemocratic. It is within the terms of the Constitution, and it allows a debate to then proceed once the amendment is seconded, and then proceed to a vote.
Mr. Mayor, do you want me to repeat the amendments so everybody can remember?
Yeah.
Are you happy for me to do that, Mr. Mayor?
Mark?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. The amendment is, I move the amendment that the full council invites the executive board to consider a bid for city status at the next scheduled meeting. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.